Hi, Dr. Herman here. We are going to take some questions today, and the way that this is going to work is on Tuesday or Wednesday, you can submit your questions, and then on Thursday I'll do a video. We'll post that on Friday morning, and that way we can kind of get it organized and get them out to you in a reasonable amount of time. So the first question comes from Gail, and she asked, do you treat Candida with a super restrictive diet, or is a whole/clean food diet acceptable? And her other question was, do you treat IC, which is interstitial cystitis? And let's do that one first, because that's a fairly quick answer, I think. Interstitial cystitis is often comes with digestive problems. And so we do treat that, but like a lot of chronic health conditions, we need to see your medical records and make sure you've done the proper diagnostic tests that we don't do. We just need to make sure that everything is okay before we start treating something like that. So the short answer is yes. But let's talk about Candida. So Candida is a yeast. That's what it is. It's a yeast. And yeast is normal in your digestive tract. It's a normal commensal part of your microbiome. But yeast can overgrow. And if it overgrows, then that can become a problem. So what do the bugs, the good bugs and the bad bugs and the yeast and the fungus, what do they eat in your gut? When they're in your gut, how do they survive? What do they eat? Well, they are eating the foods that you are giving them. Okay, the foods that you eat. That's what they like to eat. Candida loves sugar, and of course, in today's society, sugar is everywhere. You know, it's hard to avoid it, but that's what Candida likes, and that is why there's so much talk about Candida, and we see it very commonly in patients. So how do we know if you have a Candida infection? We do that through diagnostic testing. And the test we do, the main one for this would be the comprehensive stool test. And that stool test, it's comprehensive because we do 3 different stool tests, and they'll test a little portion of each stool over a 3-day period, 1 on each day. Candida likes to grow in colonies. It'll grow in a certain part of the stool, but not in another part. So if we do 1 test on 1 day, then we're likely to miss it. So we want to make sure we're testing multiple areas of the stool on multiple days. That's very important. Then if they do find on the comprehensive stool test, if they find that you do have a Candida infection, the lab is going to culture it. They're going to grow it on a petri dish, and they're going to see what type of botanicals will counteract that or kill that yeast. That might be caprylic acid or garlic or oregano oil, or there's different ones that will be more effective or less effective. They'll also test for pharmaceuticals that will kill the yeast, but we always like to use the botanicals if we can. Okay, second test that we can find out if you have a yeast infection is an organic acid test. That is a urine test, and there are 9 different biomarkers on the organic acid test, 9 out of 87, I think, that will test for yeast infection. The primary one is arabinose, and arabinose is a sugar that yeast will secrete or give off as a waste product, and we can measure that in your urine, and that will tell us how bad the yeast infection is, because sometimes we just don't pick it up on the comprehensive stool test. So then the last test would be the food allergy test, where we're testing IgG, IgE, complement, IgG4, and those tests will tell us what foods are causing inflammation in your particular body, because we don't know that. It could be broccoli. It could be, I mean, we know that sugar is going to cause inflammation. We know that gluten is going to cause inflammation, but we want to know specifically on you what is going to cause inflammation. And a lot of times it's normal, natural foods that would be good for someone else, but because of your immune system, or because of leaky gut, they're causing inflammation in you. So food allergy testing is very important. That kind of goes to the question that Gail asked, is it a super restrictive diet? Well, it all depends on the food allergy test. Sometimes we do those tests and that people are allergic to a lot of foods, and that diet is pretty restrictive. Sometimes there's not too much on there and they can get by with eating a fairly normal diet. We usually have to eliminate, almost always have to eliminate some things out of the diet though. Okay, then the things that we always have to eliminate are sugar. Sugar is a killer with yeast. Fruit, because it has a lot of sugar in it. Grains, because those are carbohydrates. Alcohol, and those things, if you have a candida infection, you definitely, those are killers. You have to eliminate those. Okay, some of the causes of candida infections are antibiotics, overuse, diabetes, high estrogen will cause yeast to grow. So if you've been on the birth control pill for a long time, that can be a problem. And of course, that should be number one, is a bad diet. The standard American diet is just waiting for yeast to grow. Yeast is like, oh good, more sugar. But that obviously causes problems as time goes on. It causes that yeast to grow. Okay, so if you like this video, like it, and be sure and submit your questions next week. Bye.